ॐ ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
हरि ओम, जय गुरुदेव। ओम श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ दशमोऽध्यायः विभूति योगः। श्री भगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया। न मे विदुसुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहम् आदिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः। यो मामजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम् असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते। बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावो भयं चाभयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः। भवन्ति भावभूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विदाः महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा मद्भावा मानसा जाता येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः। एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः। अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः। मच्चित्ता मद्गतः प्राणा बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकं ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते। Oh, that's it. So, as discussed yesterday, we will see the glory of Bhagavan in the form of Buddhi and Gnan. Details of Bhagavan as cause his glories. I will just read the last paragraph. Because Bhagavan has said, serve all papa, it includes punya also. Punya is also a bondage. It is a golden shackle binding him to experience some better situation. My voice is breaking. Just let me know if it is
Bela,
breaking.
yeah, fine.
Yeah,
It is fine right now. If it is breaking, I will let you know.
yeah,
Till
just
then, you
let
can
me know.
continue.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
let you
yeah.
know. Don't worry.
Okay, dhanyavad, dhanyavad. Because Bhagavan has said, Sarva, all papa, it includes punya also. Punya is also a bondage. It is a golden shackle binding him to experience some better situation. How is he liberated from all papas? Because he is no longer a karta. He recognizes the Atma, which was always a karta, a non-doer, but taken as the doer. Because of that, he subjected himself to the various punya papa karmas. Now, recognizing the fact that Atma is a karta, he is released from punya and papa. This is moksha. The prarabdha karma is there for the time being, but he will be released from that also in time. Details of Bhagavan as cause his glories. Further, Bhagavan says, I am the Lord of all beings because buddhir jnanam sammohah kshama satyam damashamaha sukham dukham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayamev cha ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodanam yasho yashah Bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithagvidaha. Buddhihi, the capacity to understand. Jnanam, knowledge. Asammohaha, freedom from delusion. Kshama, accommodation, composure. Satyam, truthfulness. Damaha, restraint in behavior. Shamaha, mastery over the ways of thinking. Sukham, pleasure. Dukham, pain. Bhavaha, creation. Abhavaha, destruction. Bhayam, fear. Cha abhayam, and fearlessness. Evacha, and further, ahimsa, harmlessness. Samata, equanimity. Tushtihi, satisfaction. Tapaha, religious discipline. Danam, charity. Yashah, fame. Ayashah, ill fame. Prithagvidaha, these many different. Bhavaha, things. Bhutanam, of living beings. Mattah eva bhavanti, are all from me alone. Buddhihi, jnanam, asammohaha, kshama, satyam, damaha, shamaha, sukham, dukham, bhavaha, abhavaha, bhayam, cha abhayam, eva cha, ahimsa, samata, tushtihi, tapaha, danam, yashah, ayashah, पृथग्विधाः भावाः भूतानां mattah eva bhavanti. The capacity to understand, knowledge, freedom from delusion, accommodation, composure, truthfulness, restraint in behavior, mastery over the ways of thinking, pleasure, creation, destruction, fear, and fearlessness, and further harmlessness, equanimity, satisfaction, religious discipline, charity, fame, ill fame. These many different things of living beings are all from me alone. Here Bhagwan says, Mattah eva. All these are only from me. What are they? He tells them one by one so that nothing is left out. This is why the chapter is called Vibhuti Yoga. Any glory that you see, any fame in the creation belongs to me. If there is any brilliance or accomplishment in a given person, that belongs to me. If anything is strikingly beautiful, that beauty belongs to me. In the Puranas, we learn that certain rivers are more sacred than others. That sanctity is only because of me. Therefore, whenever you worship or respect something extraordinary, that respect and worship go only to me because everything is born of me. Bhagavan as the cause of the qualities of living beings. Buddhi and Jnana both have the same meaning. So we have to make a distinction here. Buddhi, Shankara says, is the capacity of the Antakarana to reveal subtle things, things not available for perception at all. When you say something is beautiful, that beauty is not available for mere sense perception. Yet it is something that you appreciate. Any kind of enjoyment or anything inferentially arrived at is also subtle, sukshma. Though not available for perception, still you appreciate its existence. The capacity to reveal such things belongs to the buddhi. The one who has that power is called buddhiman. He may be a scientist or a musician, but we call him buddhiman. He has the capacity to see things that are subtle in nature. Then its product is jnana. Those who have buddhi gain knowledge of the meaning of the words like atma, etc. That is called jnana, knowledge. Because the object is there, knowledge of it is possible. That object is born of me. And knowledge is born of me because being Sarvagnya, all knowledge is with me. Anytime you come to know something, it has come from me. Since omniscience is already there, you do not produce any knowledge. You only remove the ignorance with reference to a given object. I repeat, very important line. Since omniscience is already there, you do not produce any knowledge. You only remove the ignorance with reference to a given object. Thus, knowledge is born. You may think that you have produced a certain knowledge. Bhagavan says, no, it has come from me. The very faculty of knowing is from me, and the knowledge itself is born of me. If you see this, your ahankara gets diminished. Asammoha is freedom from delusion. Whenever an object appears in front of you, if it is known as it is, without any distortion, it means that you pursue the knowledge with discrimination. I repeat, asammoha is freedom from delusion. Whenever an object appears in front of you, if it is known as it is, without any distortion, it means that you pursue the knowledge with discrimination. This is called asammoha. If you come to a hurried conclusion without discrimination, that is called sammoha. You see a rope and you jump thinking it is a snake. That would be called sammoha. Asammoha is deliberately, without hurry, looking into things and understanding them as they should be understood. You keep an open mind and explore and understand. Then there is asammoha. I repeat this last line. Asammoha is deliberately, without hurrying, looking into things and understanding them as they should be understood. You keep an open mind and explore and understand. Then there is asammoha. You should know that the senses, the mind, etc. can deceive. They are capable of distortion and do not really present objects as they are. Our perception can be born of our own fear and anxiety, etc. We can even project things that are not there at all. Therefore, proper understanding is very important. It will make you alert that asammoha is also from me, Bhagavan says. This is such a beautiful quality which will be a gift from God. Kshama. Suppose you are scolded by somebody or are subjected to verbal or physical abuse, you will not be affected by that if you have kshama. Kshama is a state of mind in which you do not internalize those things. If someone is angry, you have to deal with his anger. But if in the process you become angry, you are internalizing the problem. Not internalizing is kshama. If somebody is angry, you confine his anger to him. Try to understand why he is angry and do what has to be done. That is dealing with it. The mind that does not undergo any internalization in situations which are not very pleasant is said to have kshama. My God, this is such a profound quality. Please let me know if you want me to repeat any qualities. They are very, very important. Satyam, here Shankara
Please repeat again, Shama.
Yeah. Shama, suppose you are scolded by somebody or are subjected to verbal or physical abuse, you will not be affected by that if you have Kshama. Kshama is a state of mind in which you do not internalize those things. If someone is angry, you have to deal with his anger. But if in the process you become angry, you are internalizing the problem. Not internalizing is Kshama. If somebody is angry, you confine his anger to him. Try to understand why he is angry and do what has to be done. That is dealing with it. The mind that does not undergo any internalization in situations which are not very pleasant is said to have Kshama. It's a beautiful quality which, as Swamiji has described, you try to accommodate people's behavior which are not favorable at that particular situation. Satyam. So we will just try to recall asammoha, anadaram. First is buddhi, jnana, asammoha, and then kshama, and now satyam. Asammoha, I hope that you all remember. It is like clarity of thought and the discrimination to understand a particular situation or a person or whatever it is around us. That is asammoha. You have that viveka buddhi. Satyam. Here, Shankara gives a definition of Satya. There is a footnote. Satyam yatha drishtasya yatha shrutasya cha atmanubhavasya parabuddhi sankrantaye tathaiva ucharyamana vak satyam uchyate. I repeat, Satyam yatha drishtasya yatha shrutasya cha atmanubhavasya parabuddhi sankrantaye tathaiva ucharyamana vak satyam uchyate. Here he has taken the word Satya not as an ontological word talking about the reality of something, but as referring to the value of truthfulness in the spoken word. I repeat once again, Satyam. Here Shankara gives a definition of Satya. Here he has taken the word Satya not as an ontological word talking about the reality of something, but as referring to the value of truthfulness in the spoken word. The spoken word should be true to something that is seen or heard or experienced by you. I repeat, the spoken word should be true to something that is seen or heard or experienced by you. And in that manner, that is exactly as it was seen or heard. It should be conveyed to another mind in order to make the other mind understand it exactly as you understood. Something was heard or seen or experienced by you. Therefore, you can talk about it. Not that you should go about talking to others about everything. That is not necessary. But when you want to, please say it honestly, as it was experienced directly through your own sense organs, or as it was reported to you by somebody else, or even experienced by you subjectively, in the same manner it is to be spoken of for the purpose of making another person understand. That is called Satya. All these belong to an order, a moral order, uncreated by the individual. I repeat, all these belong to an order, a moral order, uncreated by the individual. It is all Bhagwan's creation. Satya, Dhamma, Shama are all Bhagwan's creation. And when you have them, you are in harmony with the creation and with Bhagwan. I repeat, Satya, Dhamma, Shama are all Bhagwan's creation. And when you have them, you are in harmony with the creation and with Bhagwan. So, what we speak is what we know. Satyam vada, be truthful. Then it should also be pleasing. Priyam vada, we make a prayer for this. Jihwa me madhumattama. I hope it is my pronunciation is correct. I repeat once again, Satya, Dhamma, Shama are all Bhagwan's creation, and when you have them, you are in harmony with the creation and with Bhagwan. So, what we speak is what we know. Satyam vada, be truthful. Then it should also be pleasing. Priyam vada, we make a prayer for this. Jihwa me madhumattama. Let there be honey on my tongue. May I speak in a way that pleases, that does not hurt anyone. Only a teacher can say hurtful words, nobody else. He has to say the truth, and when he does, it is not always very pleasant. But even he has to say it in a way that does not frighten the person away. Though he sometimes has to say something unpleasant, he has to say it in a pleasant way. Therefore, be truthful, but do not be indifferent to your discretion. All these, Bhagavan says, emanate from him alone. I'll just repeat the last 3 lines about the Satya. Only a teacher can say hurtful words, nobody else. He has to say the truth, and when he does, it is not always very pleasant. But even he has to say it in a way that does not frighten the person away. Though he sometimes has to say something unpleasant, he has to say it in a pleasant way. Therefore, be truthful, but do not be indifferent to your discretion. All these, Bhagavan says, emanate from him alone. Dhamma is discipline with reference to external organs. I just would like to remind once again, Buddhi, Jnana, Asammoha, Satyam. These are Kshama. These are the qualities we have to remember. Now is Dhamma. Dhamma is discipline with reference to external organs. It is control at the level of expression, a capacity not to be carried away by an action which has already arisen in your mind. Having arisen, it can be carried out either perceptually or by an organ of action. The capacity to refrain from that is called Dhamma. I repeat, Dhamma is discipline with reference to external organs. It is control at the level of expression, a capacity not to be carried away by an action which has already arisen in your mind. Having arisen, it can be carried out either perceptually or by an organ of action. The capacity to refrain from that is called Dhamma. Shama, a mastery over the very ways of thinking. We do not yield to certain patterns of thinking which we know are harmful or useless. You get a certain space because of which you are able to have a mastery over the ways of thinking. That is called Shama. When Shama is there, we do not need to practice Dhamma because it follows automatically. There is no problem. But in the absence of Shama, we do require Dhamma. I repeat, Shama, a mastery over the very ways of thinking. We do not yield to certain patterns of thinking which we know are harmful or useless. You get a certain space because of which you are able to have a mastery over the ways of thinking. That is called Shama. When Shama is there, we do not need to practice Dhamma because it follows automatically. There is no problem. But in the absence of Shama, we do require Dhamma. Sukha, inner pleasure or happiness. Even Sukha, Bhagavan says, is born of me. It means there is nothing you can claim as your own. These are all desirable things and they are all from me alone. I repeat, Sukha, inner pleasure or happiness. Even Sukha, Bhagavan says, is born of me. It means there is nothing you can claim as your own. These are all desirable things and they are all from me alone. Even undesirable things are from me. He is going to say later. But here he emphasizes desirable things because undesirable things do not cause a problem in terms of inflating your ego. This is such an important line. I repeat, even undesirable things are from me. He is going to say it later. But here he emphasizes desirable things because undesirable things do not cause a problem in terms of inflating your ego. But Bhagavan makes it clear that whenever you get desirable things which can cause pride, this pride is meaningless. This is what he wants to prove. Whenever there is something praiseworthy, the source of that is me. Therefore, you cannot be proud about it. In one form or another, the ahankara wants to survive. So Bhagavan says that whatever you accomplish, the accomplishment belongs to me. It is my glory, my fame, Kshamyata. It is my glory, my fame. As an individual, there is no fame unless you say, I am the Lord. Then you are not an individual. You can say everything is mine. But purely at the individual level, one has to recognize all glories or accomplishments as vibhutis of Ishvara. So beautiful. So we have all pride about our possessions, my home, my family, my car. These all accomplishments, they all belong to Ishvara. Just feeling that is also so relieving. It is dukkha, affliction, Bhagavan says, is also from me. All pain is according to the law of karma, which is myself, and therefore it also comes from me. I repeat, dukkha or affliction, Bhagavan says, is also from me. All pain is according to the law of karma, which is myself, and therefore it also comes from me. Bhava, creation. Any creation is from me. Kshamyatam, it is bhava. Bhava, creation. Any creation is from me. Even though you may be the father of a child and may say the child is born of you, in fact, it is born of me, Bhagavan says. I saw a cartoon of Bhagavan as a kid trying to make a chicken. He had all the genes in a test tube. Then the tube broke and all the genes got scattered everywhere. In the cartoon, they show him with a question mark. He is God and he is wondering what to do. It is very revealing. Putting together all these genes to make a chicken is not an ordinary thing. So, if anybody thinks that I am the doer, it is meaningless. The hen can think she created the chick. The rooster can say he is the author. But Bhagavan says, I am the author. Even a creation within the creation is from Bhagavan. That is the idea. I repeat this very profound quality. Bhava, creation. Any creation is from me. Even though you may be the father of a child and may say the child is born of you, in fact, it is born of me, Bhagavan says. I saw a cartoon of Bhagavan as a kid trying to make a chicken. He had all the genes in a test tube. Then the tube broke and all the genes got scattered everywhere. In the cartoon, they show him with a question mark. He is God and he is wondering what to do. It is very revealing. Putting together all these genes to make a chicken is not an ordinary thing. So, if anybody thinks that I am the doer, it is meaningless. The hen can think she created the chick. The rooster can say he is the author. But Bhagavan says, I am the author. Even creation within the creation is from Bhagavan. That is the idea. This reminds me of Brahmaraji's sharing about one, I think, Gabriel. He had said that your children are not your possession. They have come through you. You cannot possess them. They have just come through you to this world. Abhava has different meanings. The prefix A can be used in the sense of total absence. Abhavartha. I hope my pronunciation is correct. Abhavartha. Abhavartha. Abhava has different meanings. The prefix a can be used in the sense of total absence. Abhavartha or inadequacy. Alpartha, or it can be used in the sense of opposite. Viparyayartha. 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 Viparyayartha.
Viparya yartha.
Viparyayartha.
Abhavartha. And what is the other one?
Alpartha.
Alpartha and Viparya yartha.
I will just repeat once again. Abhava has different meanings. The prefix a can be used in the sense of total absence. Abhavartha or inadequacy. Alpartha, or it can be used in the sense of opposite. Viparyayartha. When you say there is no light, it can mean darkness, or it can be inadequate light. Here Shankara takes it as opposite, viparyaya. Why? Because Bhagwan has said creation, bhava. If creation is from Bhagwan, its opposite, destruction, takes place because of Ishvara alone. That there is the possibility of destruction is because of me alone. Destruction means destroying something that is created. There is a law that governs life, and because of that law, life continues. Because of the same law, life goes. The law is Bhagwan, and that is why he says destruction is also from me. I hope, please remember this abhava with different terminologies. Abhavartha, alpartha, viparyayartha, viparyayartha. So destruction is also a part of Bhagwan. It is also from Bhagwan only. Bhaya, fear is also from me, Bhagwan says. Because the source of fear is the vastness of the creation and its irrevocability. I repeat, Bhaya, fear is also from me, Bhagwan says. Because the source of fear is the vastness of the creation and its irrevocability. Certain things, namely death and time, are irrevocable. You can never reverse them. And that inevitability causes fear. Death and time are also Bhagwan. So all fear, bhaya, is caused by him. You can avoid this bhaya if you hold on to Ishvara. But if you think you are going to take care of things, bhaya comes. As long as an individual thinks that he is an individual, separate from everything else, there will be fear. Ishvara himself becomes bhaya karana, the source of fear. This is profound because it is again emphasizing on Advaitavad. I am just repeating. Bhaya, fear.
I'm sorry, I'm just reminded Normally the term used is God-fearing. We should not be God-fearing, we should be God-loving.
Yes.
Most often we say God-fearing, you should be God-fearing, right? That is a term that was used. But if you continue to God-fear, you'll end up with this bhaya. But if you're God-loving, you recognize Ishvara as the creator, the sustainer, the destroyer, and that it is all his vibhuti, all that is happening. Both all pairs of opposites. Then that belongingness to Ishvara happens, and then there is no fear. So it's not God fearing. The character we need to build up is God loving.
Such a beautiful, very nice, Brahmaraji. So beautiful. Bhaya, fear is also from me. Bhagavan says, because the source of fear is the vastness of the creation and its irrevocability. Certain things, namely death and time, are irrevocable. You can never reverse them. And that inevitability causes fear. Death and time are also Bhagavan. So all fear, bhaya, is caused by him. You can avoid this bhaya if you hold on to Ishvara. But if you think you are going to take care of things, bhaya comes. As long as an individual thinks that he is an individual separate from everything else, there will be fear. Ishvara himself becomes Bhayakarana, the source of fear. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, air, Vayu, moves because of fear of Ishvara, and the sun rises because of this fear alone, meaning because of Ishvara's mandate. Agni and Indra both do their jobs. Agni keeps burning and Indra rules the heaven, all because of Ishvara's mandate. Even Lord of Death is on the move because of Ishvara. There is a footnote. Bhishasmat vatah pavate bhishodeti suryah bhishasmat agnischendrasya mrityurdhavati panchama iti. I repeat, bhishasmat vatah pavate bhishodeti suryah bhishasmat agnischendrasya mrityurdhavati panchama iti. Abhaya, fearlessness. The same Ishvara, if you do not look upon him as separate, is Abhaya Karana, the very source of fearlessness. Both fear and fearlessness are from Ishvara. If Ishvara is not known to you, the whole world is separate from you, because to know Ishvara is to know everything is Ishvara. If this is not known, the fear will start from cockroaches. If it is known, there is no fear at all. I repeat, this is a beautiful quality. Abhaya, fearlessness. The same Ishvara, if you do not look upon him as separate, is Abhaya Karana, the very source of fearlessness. Both fear and fearlessness are from Ishvara. If Ishvara is not known to you, the whole world is separate from you, because to know Ishvara is to know everything is Ishvara. If this is not known, the fear will start from cockroaches. If it is known, there is no fear at all. Ahimsa, not hurting another living being deliberately. How do you know ahimsa is from Ishvara? Is it revealed in a scripture? Otherwise, how can you prove that anything came from Ishvara? Ahimsa does not need to be revealed because it is known to us. It is revealed already by common sense. The law is there. We all know. One does not want to get hurt, nor does one see anyone else wanting to get hurt. Therefore, ahimsa exists as an integral part of the moral order. The moral order is a part of the creation. It does not need to be mandated by Ishvara in some scripture. If such a thing happens to be there, it is universal. If it is universal, it is not man-made. It is from Ishvara. Therefore, Bhagavan says, ahimsa is from me. They are all from me. And they are also good for gaining me, because when you follow them, you are in harmony with the universal order that is me. Here it just reminded me of our Percy Bhaiya's lecture, ahimsa, like when we are even for the environment, when we are polluting it, that is also like we are not taking care of the trees or the life around us, whether they are animals or trees or plants. They are all from me, and they are also good for gaining me, because when you follow them, you are in harmony with the universal order that is me. Samata, sameness of mind, whether you get something desirable or undesirable. I repeat, samata, sameness of mind, whether you get something desirable or undesirable. Tushti, contentment. When you gain something, you have a sense of satisfaction. A gain does not necessarily leave you with a sense of satisfaction. It can be a source for greed. The more you get, the more you want. That sense of having enough, alam, is called tushti, a contentment with what you have. Please pay attention. It is such a beautiful quality. I repeat, samata, sameness of mind, whether you get something desirable or undesirable. Tushti, contentment. When you gain something, you have a sense of satisfaction. A gain does not necessarily leave you with a sense of satisfaction. It can be a source for greed. The more you get, the more you want. That sense of having enough, alam, is called tushti, a contentment with what you have. If contentment is there, you become the master of any desire you have. A desire that comes out of contentment is a luxury. I repeat, a desire that comes out of contentment is a luxury. It becomes your endowment. Because you are capable of desiring, you desire. It is not that you desire in order to be content. You have a contentment out of which desires comes. Desires come so that all activities become expressions of Ishvara. Contentment, Bhagavan says, is born of me. That particular frame of mind called contentment is because of the predominance of sattva. And sattva is Maya, which is of Ishvara. Therefore, contentment is from me alone. I repeat, this is a very, very beautiful quality. Samata, sameness of mind, whether you get something desirable or undesirable. Tushti, contentment. When you gain something, you have a sense of satisfaction. A gain does not necessarily leave you with a sense of satisfaction. It can be a source for greed. The more you get, the more you want. That sense of having enough, alam, is called tushti, a contentment with what you have. If contentment is there, you become the master of any desire you have. A desire that comes out of contentment is a luxury. It becomes your endowment. Because you are capable of desiring, you desire. It is not that you desire in order to be content. You have a contentment out of which desires come, so that all activities become expressions of Ishvara. Contentment, Bhagavan says, is born of me. That particular frame of mind called contentment is because of the predominance of sattva. And sattva is Maya, which is of Ishvara. Therefore, contentment is from me alone. So that Purnatva Bhavana, I am complete, that is also from Bhagavan's glory only. The last quality is tapas. I think it is a no, more. I just stop here, since it is very, very important to retain these all what we have learned today. So we will just try to recall with the shloka, and then we will try to share our takeaways. So we did today 4th and 5th verse. बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दम शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावो भयं चाभयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावभूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः. The capacity to understand knowledge, freedom from delusion, accommodation, composure, truthfulness, restraint in behavior, mastery over the ways of thinking, pleasure, creation, destruction, fear and fearlessness, and further harmlessness, equanimity, satisfaction, religious discipline, charity, fame, ill fame, these many different things of living beings are all from me alone. So the first one was buddhi and jnana, then asammoha, then kshama, satyam, Dama, Shama, Sukha, Dukkha, Bhava, Abhava, Bhaya, Abhaya, Ahimsa, Samata, and in Samata only, Tushti. We will just close our eyes and we will try to remember all these beautiful glories which are just the gifts from Bhagavan only. And we will pray to him that he gives all, we possess all this. Hari Om, Jai Gurudev. Let us all share our takeaways. For me, the very striking one is that fearlessness, that when we feel that we belong to this whole creation, which is nothing but Ishvara only, that valor comes, that fearlessness, that belongingness with everything around us. Kshama, as Swamiji beautifully explained, it is accommodating the situation or people or whatever is happening, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, accommodating that. Yeah, please share. So these are the two beautiful qualities which I need to work upon. And that feeling of completeness, purnatva, purnamidam, purnat purnamudachyate, purnasya purnamadaya, purnam eva avashishyate. We have come from that purna only, and we are complete. Kindly share your takeaways.
It is very interesting that Ishvara says, he gives the pairs of opposites and he says, I am all of them. For me, to understand this, if you consider Ishvara as like a field, like an ocean, from that ocean, you have waves coming up. Every wave has a peak and a trough. It has a peak and it falls down, right? So the pairs of opposites are also like that. So everything that is there in creation is nothing but Ishvara, whether it is desirable or undesirable. Anything which is desirable, we acquire, there is a chance of us getting our ego inflated, which is why he mentions all those desirable things. I am those. But undesirable things also, he is. So ultimately, we are nothing but a puppet. You know, he is moving everything. Whether our hand moves up, whether I'm speaking right now, whether you are understanding what I'm speaking, all that is his making, his creation. So we are nothing but empty shells. He is the one who infuses us with that life, with enthusiasm, joy, whether it is fear, whether it is fearlessness. Everything, sum total of everything is his making, his creation. So when we live in this knowledge, revel in this knowledge that everything is him, slowly that not only ahankara drops, also that doership drops. Imagine a puppet. If the puppet thinks it is the puppet that is moving his arms and his legs and he's dancing around, how foolish that is. So we thinking that we are the doer, aham karta, aham bhokta, is as silly as the puppet thinking that the puppet is the one doing it. But it is the person behind the puppet, the one who creates, who sustains, and who destroys the whole thing that is running the show. He is the director of the whole creation. And such beautiful human values that are enumerated in these two shlokas. Asammohaha, seeing things as they are with that discrimination, without painting it with our own inner feelings, our own prejudices, looking at things as they are. Asammohaha. And that kshama is such a, I mean, like I said yesterday, I think what we learn here, we can directly implement in our life, practical life. That's a laboratory. So this practice of kshama is where you don't internalize another person's anger, another person's feelings, whether they are positive, negative. You maintain that samatha within, that sameness of the mind. It doesn't get disturbed, doesn't get flustered. So often when someone gets angry, we also catch on to that anger, and therefore that gets into a conflict and there is argument and it goes on and on. Whereas if you do not internalize, I mean, you have a mantle of protection around you of viveka, and that does not let that other person's anger touch you. I'm just reminded of this story that we tell Art Excel kids about Buddha and how that, there's a merchant's friend who comes and he abuses him. He does not say a thing. So that state of equanimity, if we can maintain, practice of kshama. Yeah, there's so many others. I think I will let everybody also share.
Jai Gurudev, my learning today was about fear is due to infinity. I never understood that, or I never even thought about it like that. And then I realized how true that is. Because earlier I used to think that one has to cross raga, dvesha, and fear, abhinivesha. And today I got this wisdom that fear is infinity because of infinity. And once you understand that, then the fear drops. Or, I mean, I think you get a grasp on how to overcome fear. I used to wonder how to overcome fear. And today I got this, to see fear as infinite. Thank you.
For me, this asam moha, it's such a great quality. It's good quality, You don't you just see things as they are. You don't interpret and magnify things. It's so important in our day-to-day life. It's a big takeaway for me, this asam moha. For that,
My takeaway is
clarity.
If you don't have a shama, then you need to have dhamma.
also the aspect of tushti and the contentment is the beautiful sentence that came, out of contentment you can have a desire. That is such a mature desire. So being content, that desire comes up, and whatever you do then is an expression of Ishvara. So out of happiness you're not doing anything for happiness. You are happy, and out of that happy state you're doing things and you're desiring things. Such a beautiful uplifted state to be in. So you're coming from that space of security, that purnatva. Then you do exactly like how Gurudev does everything he does. It is not like a beggar that you're doing things. I'm seeking this. I want this, therefore I'm doing it. No, you are coming from that princely state, that fullness state, that I have everything, yet I'm doing this. And Satya was such a... Yeah, go ahead, please.
No, Dr. Brahma, you finish it first.
No, I just completed that contentment. I wanted to go on to the next one, but please go ahead, Dr. Savita.
There's one query I'm having, like this asamoha is it is only related to knowledge, or it can be related to the people around you also? Like if you are like you are judging the person, is it can it be related that way also? Like you do not, if a person is acting in some fashion and you take out different meaning of that and you judge that person, that will it be called sammoha then? Or is it only that knowledge part? There is like, I was just, while reading, this thought came.
I think it applies to both. And the second element where you talked about, interpreting or judging a person, maybe also kshama comes in there. So it is both a combination of kshama as well as asamoha. Asamoha, the highest form of asamoha, is to understand the truth of everything. Have that clarity of thought. So you're using your discrimination and you have that clarity of thought, and you know what is and what is not. You're not clouding your thinking by some with that ignorance. There is no more ignorance there in that asamoha, right? That is the highest form where you know everything. But to a certain extent, yes, I think when we deal with people also, there is both that moha as well as lack of kshama when you judge people and then you label them. No, both are there.
And in Shama also, like we had this discussion earlier also, like if you are angry with for a reason, you don't have to internalize it like in that way that you are not affected by heart. You internally you do not have malice against anyone. It is only that spontaneous reaction which you give for something unlikely which is done or which is not to be done. You react in that way only superficially, like you do not take it to your heart and you have those negative thoughts for that person. It is only that thing happened and you reacted superficially and then let go. Am I like interpreting it right, or is it something else?
Yeah, that is fine. I think that is what Swamiji is also explaining there. Yeah. And he goes on to saying, only a teacher has the, when he talks of Satya, the aspect of Satya was also very beautiful. I think we'll go through all of this again tomorrow before we go to the next verse. Shankara talks of Satya as the ability of the spoken word being true to your experience without distorting it. So if you're able to relate, explain to some person exactly what you went through, that is being in Satya, that reality. Although, see, not every experience can be put into words. For example, Sudarshan Kriya and all those experiences, you can't, no matter how much you explain, it is not possible. That is beyond, words have their limitation. But from what I understood of Satya and what Swamiji was explaining and what Shankara had given, is that there is that arjavam, what your experience, what your experience is, your feeling, as well as your words. They're all kind of in the same thread. There's no distortion. That is Satya. How children are like Satya. Children, when they don't like it, they say it on the face. I don't like this. Or I like this. But whereas adults, we tend to cover it up. Supposing there is an uninvited guest and you're very busy with something, we might put up a smile on our face and say, oh, come, come. But inside our mind, we have some other feeling going on. Oh, why did this person come now? I'm so busy with so many things. So that there is lack of Satya there. So if you can align your thought, word, and deed, that arjavam, that is how I understood Satya. Maybe there is another way to understand, but yeah, maybe we'll do this again tomorrow.
Hari Om Brahmaraji, that was such a beautiful point you brought to the notice. I had the confusion, but the moment you said the Arjavam, I think very, very beautiful that your thinking, your behavior, your action, everything is aligned.
Yeah.
Dhanyavad.
Sarlaji mentions Arjavam Satyam Piyush Vat Bhaja Ashtavakra. Yeah. Arjavam is such an important thing.
I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Is it Shama and Dama that we learnt in the silence course the same as the Shama and Dama discussed here?
Yeah, they are the same. Dama is a control over your sense organs, right? Having a say over your senses. And Shama is having that clarity of thought in your mind, that discernment and that
one is say over the mind and the other is say of the body.
Say of the body. So when you have a say over your mind, you automatically have a say over your senses, right? So if you have Shama, there is no need for Dama. But if you do not have Shama, then you may want to start with Dama and then move on to Shama. But when you have Shama, it is like you're already having a say over your senses. So there is no need for Dama if you have Shama.
But how can Dama be practiced until you don't have Shama? I did not follow that. Like how, if some example can be given where Dama is followed and Shama is not there, isn't it like they go hand to hand? Otherwise,
no, see,
Dama.
there's a person who's say fasting, who's doing rigorous fasting. He's having a lot of Dama on his hunger and his senses. But his mind may be going elsewhere, no? His mind may not be aligned with,
okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
so rigorous tapas and all those people who do fire walking and all those things, they have a lot of dhamma. They have a lot of control over their senses. But is their mind also in line? Is it attuned to this knowledge? That we that unless that is there is no element of Shama there.
Yeah. Right.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So last 2 days we could not do any, we could come to chapter 6. So maybe if anybody else wants to share about what we learned in chapter 10, please go ahead. Otherwise, we'll move on to chapter 6.
One thing, like in ahimsa, it's like it's an integral part of our like moral order, but still the people, they follow that path of ahimsa, though it is inborn, like it is ingrained in our genetic, you can say. But how come like people get so, it's maybe it's the effect of the prakriti, or I don't know, like this ahimsa, it is written that it is the integral part, you are born with that, but still the people get into hinsa activities.
It is, I think, because of they lose the value for the value. In the introduction to Gita, where Swamiji talks at length about dharma and adharma, he gives an example of a thief a person who wants to steal from his neighbor's house. Remember, there he wants to steal from the world. He's only thinking of limited. His only thing is to increase his wealth. He does not look beyond that value. So if you see the value of the value, there is, how do I put it? There is only limited ends. I mean, you're looking at only limited ends. Therefore, you end up doing himsa.
Yeah, basically, so it is the lack of the knowledge that leads you to that wrong
Right.
activities, or maybe that hinsa part. Okay. Right. Thank you.
I don't know where we left it in chapter 6. Seeker can be wrong. I think we did this, no? We were in shloka 43, I think. Tatra tam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam yatate jatato bhuyaha samsiddhau kuru nandana. Tatra, there, paurvadehikam, what existed in a previous body, tam, that, buddhi samyogam, connection through the intellect, labhate, gains, kuru nandana, O joy of the Kuru family, Arjuna, cha, and tataha bhuyaha, further than that gained previously, samsiddhau, for success in yoga, yatate, strives. So, tatra paurvadehikam buddhi tam buddhi samyogam labhate kuru nandana cha tataha bhuyaha samsiddhau yatate. There he gains a connection through the intellect with that which existed in his previous body and strives for further success in yoga than that gained previously, O joy of the Kuru family. Tatra refers to either of the two families referred to in the previous two verses, the cultured, dharmika family of the wealthy man committed to dharma, or the family of yogis. There, the person picks up the thread of what existed in his previous life when he was a sannyasi. Previously, the person enjoyed a particular body, and in that body, he began a life of yoga, a pursuit of knowledge, which he did not gain before he died away. Now, in the present body, his buddhi connects itself to what existed before. Tam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam. What kind of a connection is this? Is it something like spaceships docking? No. The connection with what existed before means that the person picks up the thread from where he left behind in a previous birth and continues to gain greater success. And then what happens? The person again becomes a sannyasi, a yati, and because of the previous samskaras, makes an even greater effort to gain more than he gained before. Tataha bhuyaha. Why? For success in yoga, samsiddhau, to gain the knowledge that is moksha. Krishna uses Arjuna's words again here. Arjuna had asked, Krishna, having not gained success in yoga, what end does the person reach? Aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. Answering Arjuna's question, Krishna talks about the same samsiddhi, success in yoga, which is in the form of self-knowledge. For gaining that samsiddhi, the person can make further effort because he has the buddhi samyoga, the connection with the samskaras he had before. The connection with the past is by means of the intellect. This is why wherever there is a man studying the Shastras, generally at least one of his children will show an interest at a very young age. This child will go and sit with the father and will not be interested in things that children are usually interested in. Why? Because there is a connection with the previous tendencies, purva samskaras, through the intellect. Arjuna was addressed as Kuru Nandana here. Kuru being the name of the family into which Arjuna was born. Kuru Nandana means the joy of the Kuru family. Krishna perhaps uses this name here to remind Arjuna of the advantages of this present birth. How beautifully Swamiji links every word that Krishna had mentioned. Krishna, of course, had mentioned it for a reason. Why he calls him Dhananjaya once, Mahabaho once. Further, Krishna says, Purvabhyasena te naiva Kriyate hyavashopi saha Jignasurapi yogasya Shabda brahmati vartate. Tena purva abhyasena, by this previous practice, eva alone, avashaha api, even helplessly, saha he, kriyatehi, is indeed carried away, yogasya of yoga, jignasuhu api, even as one who is desirous of the knowledge, shabda brahma, the Veda, ativartate, goes beyond. Tena purvabhyasena eva avashaha api saha kriyatehi yogasya jignasuhu api shabda brahma ativartate. By this previous practice alone, he is carried away helplessly, even as one who is desirous of the knowledge of yoga goes beyond the Veda, that is beyond the karma kanda of the Veda. So we'll do this tomorrow, verse 44. Anyone wants to share anything here before we close? So everything is falling in place, how important our Nitya Naimitika karmas are, how important it is to, they take care of all our papas, intended papa, unintended papa, that we learned in chapter 10. And as parents, how important it is to be good role models. We don't know what purva samskaras our children are born with. So if we create that space at home, it will help them pick up their thread from wherever they have, whatever they have done the previous janma. And plus, if not, you're at least laying the foundations for good samskaras to happen. So we, again, reminding everyone that August 1st, we will have a quiz. Not to worry, doesn't matter if you have not been able to go through or not able to answer, does not matter. It is only, it is just to bring in the fun element, number one, and also to keep a tab as to how much of what we have learned and read we have understood. So please do not be put off by or feel intimidated about. Let's just happily participate in this. Some of you have already sent in some questions, so I would request each one of us, whatever questions that come up, please do send. Although we have limited ourselves to chapter 6 and 9, there can be some general questions of Bhagavad Gita also that we have come across. Please do send in your questions. You can email them to me, and from that question bank, we will go ahead. So if the questions come by 28th, will be good. If you can put them in a print form is better, because they will be projected on the screen for everyone to see. Yeah. Jai Gurudev. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.